Yes, people, we are back. Welcome back to the channels. Myself and Lead Judges yet again on Lead Judges TV, talking all things Arsenal. And of course, we're going to talk about transfer windows. We've had enough ranting and raving for the last couple of days. So we thought we'd talk a little bit of serious news. Obviously, we're in the January transfer window now, and we have been linked with absolutely everybody. Is that good news? Is it bad news? Or is it just people trying to make some money off of some PR? I don't have a clue. I don't have any ITKs. I don't understand any rumours. They are rumours until they're wearing a shirt, as far as I'm concerned. But we're going to talk about where we're short. We're going to talk about some of the players that we're linked with, and also some of the players that are currently here that might look at moves out of Arsenal. Lee, how's your day been, bruv?
Yeah, not too bad, not too stressful. Quite a nice, easy day today, to be fair, So, yeah, all good. What about yourself?
Yeah, mate, busy, but in a good way, mate. When it's a good way, busy, that's always good, man. So, got a show with you. Got a show later on mine at 7. So I've got a busy evening tonight, and then yeah, man, towards the back end of this week, which is going to be transfers as we lead up to the FA Cup game at the weekend, which apparently all the tubes and trains are going to strike
Have
again.
you seen that today? All right. It's not guaranteed yet, though, is it? It's not guaranteed.
I don't know. Honestly, mate, the trains by me in Essex are an absolute disgrace anyway. But apparently it's everywhere, and I don't know. It might affect the game, but they ain't confirmed as of yet. But honestly, mate, everywhere is what is wrong with this country? Honestly, like doctors are striking and train drivers are striking, and it's just the government are a complete mess, aren't they? But anyway, it's not a politics podcast. It's not a good place, is it, at the moment to be? But
it's a bit of a worry going to the game because
yeah.
The line that I go for has got replacement buses, so. Then on the other line, you have to go by. You have to get to Tottenham Hale and then a tube. And if the tubes are out, you know what I mean, it's probably looking at driving or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I think me and my dad are going to have to jump in there. My mum going to have to jump in the car, I think, because it's not looking good.
It's not looking good. And for the Liverpool fans, you know what I mean, like coming in from London, they've got to get to Houston, and then from Houston, it's just a little, a couple of stops along to Finsbury Park, or whatever. And they're going to be struggling as well, So thanks to a bit of the old the tubes. Come on, let's make it another day. If you're going to do it when Tottenham are at home. Come on.
Yeah. 100%. Let's ruin their day, not ours. Listen, Judge, we've been linked with quite a few players, and I want to talk about some serious positions as opposed to names, because we're going to be linked with some names, and of course we'll mention them as well. But before I do, I want to talk about positions. This left back and full back scenario, that's where I want to start, because we've had Zinchenko and Timber and Ben White and Tomiyasu as our 4 fullbacks this year. Timber's been injured straight away. We ain't been able to use him. Zinchenko has had a few injury problems and again is injured. And Kivior's had to play there. Tomiyasu has played right back, left back and centre back, but is now gone to the Asian Cup, which basically leaves us with Ben White and Jacob Kivior as our only 2 full players, or players that can play at fullback. And let's be real, Lee, neither of them are really fullbacks. Ben White's done a fantastic job there, and I like him as a right back, but he was a centre back in his trade, and obviously Kivior is definitely not a left back. So it might be that Kieran Tierney comes back, mate. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know if that is true, if that is going to happen, or if it can happen. I know he has been injured. I think he's fit now with Real Sociedad. He's obviously a player that I like, and I know that you're not a huge lover of Tierney like I am, but you think he's a good player. Would you mind Kieran Tierney coming back to Arsenal, or do we need to dip into the market, mate?
No, listen, I think if it can be done, I would bring him back 100% because he knows what it's all about. He's an Arsenal player. I think first and foremost, that's the way that I would like to go. Thank you, Lee. By the way, yeah, should be getting my points back from that horrible man, Turkish.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much. Scandalous. Anyway, yeah, but I do think he's an Arsenal player. Another one of the players that I don't think has done anything wrong to be bombed out and let go by Mikel, but obviously for whatever reasons it's happened. Really depends now on the injury to Zinchenko. How long is he going to be out with that calf injury again? Don't forget, this is another recurring injury if it's the same one, because you kept him out in the summer and didn't have no pre-season. I think that's a little bit to do with why he's probably not as good as what he was, because he didn't have no pre-season. Yeah, and we've left ourselves very, very short at the back there. Ain't going to get no one in for Sunday, that's for sure. But obviously after Sunday, we've got 10 days, 14 days before their next game. So there's time to get somebody in to see what will happen from that, And yeah, the other question is, is Tierney want to come back after, Rio? So I think they're in the last 16 of the Champions League, you know what I mean? So he may not want to come back into it, but, hopefully there's some sort of deal to bring him back, because it's going to be easier to bring him back than maybe go and sign someone long term or short term. We've got Cedric that can play left back and right back as cover, but realistically, if you look at that, and if the rumours are true about Ben White being injured, he prefers to play an injured Ben White over him at right back and a Kivior as a centre half at left back. So about Cedric. So yeah, I'm all for that, Dan. If we can get Tierney back, but I think we need someone that can play there 100%.
Yeah, we do, man, and I agree with you. I think it'll be easier to bring him back, and I actually think he's our best left back still. So I want him here, not out at Real Sociedad. I think Zinchenko, as much as people like him going forward, he does have injury problems as well as Kieran Tierney. So when you look at how many games Kieran Tierney missed and Zinchenko missed, you'd be surprised how close it is, mate. It's really not that different. And for some reason, he got absolutely pelters when he used to get injured. But Zinchenko, it's all right. It's Zinchenko. Very odd fan base. Let's talk about the actual situation with the fullbacks, because I don't think Kivior's a left back. I don't think Cedric's good enough. At the weekend, though, mate, I don't quite know who's going to play. I guess it's going to have to be Ben White and Kivior as our fullbacks with Gabriel and Saliba. Is there anything you'd do different just while we're on the fullback situation?
No, I think that's there. Unless, as I say, Zinchenko might be fit and available. I'll take a risk on him if he is, because you've got like 2 weeks off afterwards, So for me, I think that if not, Kivior is going to have to play. I didn't think he was that bad on the weekend. He certainly, was at fault for the goal, but did he do any worse?
Well, didn't get a chance to make up for it, did he? He was hooked.
No, he was very, very ruthlessly as well, So it'd be very, very interesting to see what happens there, So listen, I think that.
I'll just quickly as well on the Ben White thing, because I was on my channel last night. Me and Jess were having a to and fro about it. She thinks he is injured. I think he's not. Who else have we got? Well, it's not Cedric, actually. And my answer was Cedric, believe it or not. We had Tommy Yasu on the bench who come on, who could have played right back, and Kivior could have played left back. So when people say to me, Ben White's injured, why is he coming on at PSV? Why did he start the game against Fulham? And why has he started every game, by the way? It's rubbish. Surely it's rubbish. It's just an excuse. And, people will say, well, why the club lying? Who's actually come out and said he's injured? The Arsenal.com haven't. So
no, I'm with you on that. I'm totally with you on that. It really winds me up. At the end of the day, say it how it is. Ben White, I'm a massive lover, as you know. I'm a big Ben White fan.
I like Ben White.
He's not playing well.
Yep.
We keep making excuses for him. You know what I mean? Like the system that we're playing at the moment has restricted him to what he was doing last season. The way we're playing the system, it's affected him. You know what I mean? But people would rather say, oh, he's injured, rather say that, this and that, instead of going, no, the manager's tactics of the reason why he's not playing well. And I think there's got to be 3 or 4 more of them like that. The system at this moment isn't working for them. I'd have played Tomiyasu on Sunday, by the way, whether it would be right back or left back, because if he got injured, who cares? You know what I mean?
He's right, occasion cup, exactly.
Yeah, so I
just decision that, isn't it?
Another crazy decision from the manager. How many more crazy decisions is he going to make? He is the one at this moment in time that's costing us at this moment with crazy decisions, and he's got to get them right. I'm not saying that I want him sacked or anything like that, because that I don't. But what I do want him is to be, what's the word I'm looking for? What I mean? He's capable for what's the word? Trying to think of the proper word that I can use for it. What I mean? What decisions he's made, he's got to be, brought to task if they're not going right. It just seems that so many
accountability. Yeah.
Accountability for his mistakes, because at the end of the day, he continues to be like, oh, that don't matter. This don't matter. What I mean? That was another horrendous decision on Sunday. You know what I mean? And there's been a few now. So I'm not buying into this player who's injured. Like, you know what I mean? It's,
No, I
and
agree.
if you are injured, Dan, what does that tell you about Cedric? If he is, just say if he is. You know what I mean? Like,
I said this last on my channel. So
always.
what's he there for decoration or something? We're paying him 120k a week. What the hell he's on? Like, what is he there for? What is he there
Exactly.
for? It's mad, isn't it? It's absolutely mad. But it's a nice little segue, really, which leads me on to some of the players that might be on the way out the door before we start to look at who we link with, mate. Cedric is obviously one that is clearly not wanted, but the other names that potentially could be looking to go out are Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah, Emil Smith-Rowe is another one that I've heard as well, and of course Jacob Kiwior. Now, it seems a bit crazy because if we're going to be selling them, we're going to have to replace them, all of them. We can't be selling those guys. So I understand we're not going to sell them all, don't get me wrong. But if we are going to bring somebody in, Lee, do you think that there may be some players looking to go out the door?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to, because if you look at it, like, there's a few players in the squad at the moment that are one, on big wages, and B, not really getting any time. I'm going to bring the goalkeeper into that, Aaron Ramsdale. You know, I think personally should be in the team. I've made no secret of that. But if you're not going to play him, you know, you can't have him sitting on the bench all the time. You know, you've got a massive asset there. You know, sign another goalkeeper on a free or something like that, and get the money for him there, and also it would get rid of all this uncertainty about it all. Like, you know, Smith-Rowe now, I think that you know, you're looking maybe at that one there, because when you think about it, Vieira's got to come back into the squad at some stage as well, which he spent 35 million on. I don't know how much should Vieira would be worth now, like, you know what I mean? If I'll be honest, not nowhere near the 35 million.
20?
So 20, you know, at best. So I would say that. I would actually say over this course of the last 2 or 3 games in particular, Jorginho has not been really, I think he could have been used in these last couple of games just to do something different, but he's not. So there's another one. Obviously, the ones at the back can't be. But I think we've found ourselves in a very, very difficult position. We're very, very fortunate, Dan, that we've only got a couple of league games in January. You know, if you think about it, we could go out the FA Cup on Sunday, and we'll be virtually like January will be an easy January for us, so we could get away with it. As far as the league's concerned, so but I don't know. I think that we need to strengthen that defensive area up. I think with another central defender as well, but you know, we ain't going to get that. So unless we sell a couple of players, you know what I mean, like, or bring in a couple of loans like we did last season, like, you know, like we brought in Jorginho on loan, and we bought Trossard, didn't we? Like, you know, maybe looking to do something similar to there. But I wouldn't be surprised if a Smith-Rowe goes or somebody like that. I wouldn't be surprised.
You think about it, we spent about, I know you mentioned loans and stuff, but Jorginho in the end cost us 12 million. Trossard was 27 and 25 for Jacob Kiwior. So we're looking towards 60, 70 million pounds spent last season. This season, we've got to do at least more. We've got to do much more than that, haven't we? You know, we look at it realistically now. We've just named about 6 players there that could go. So that means we still need to upgrade on those positions. It doesn't mean we need 6 new players. And on top of that, it means we need to upgrade on the ones we got. So Jorginho and Elneny, cheers, but we need an upgrade. Nelson, I love you, kid. I'd love you to make it Arsenal, but really I'd like a Pedro Neto. Yeah, Emil Smith-Rowe, if it is going to take you another 2 years to get fit, then I would rather get somebody in your position that can come on for Martin Odegaard when he ain't quite cutting it, or he needs a rest, or he's injured, and you think, oh, do you know what? He's exciting to watch. He's got some flair. Vieira, you've mentioned, Nketiah. The list does go on, yeah? Jacob Kiwior, Cedric. These are players that if they all went in January, would we really be crying? I wouldn't be. Not at all.
No, and it's difficult as in January as you look at it, and as the 3 signings that we made in January last season, none of them have been our regulars in the first team. They're they're squad players, but none of them. I think that if that's the way we're going to go down again with squad players, then it might be a little bit easier too. But I do think that if you're going to go big in January, you've got to make it a game changer. And listen, I think that I'm not saying that the depth of the squad, but if you was to say, I don't know who, let's just say, like, if you were to sell smith-rowe and say Eddie, and you got 2 players in that are upgrades on them too, then you'd think, okay, right, well, we'll keep the others and things like that because we've upgraded in 2 areas, like, so. I think this January window is going to be very, very difficult. I don't know about you, but I don't get excited about it. I don't get excited
never,
because it's
never.
January.
I mean, I know that we always laugh at Hoggy, but Russ Hoggy always says, "Then Guna Russ the transfer window, or as Arsenal know it, January."
January, yeah.
Doesn't make me laugh, And to be fair, I've just proven we have made some signings. Someone in the chat, Jay, is mentioning Aubameyang. I remember Arshavin come, mind you, he came. I think Arshavin come in February in the end. But when you look at the signings we have made, we have actually made some. Let's just do these couple of super chats before we close with some of the people that we are being linked with. This one has come in from Sniper Scope, who says, "Hi lads, do you think it's true that a few players have fallen out with Mikel Arteta over the whole Aaron Ramsdale dropping situation? Last season, Ramsdale was top." I know you've mentioned this, Lee, and I think it's a good question. Is that something towards that, or is it all rumours? And because we're losing, it's now easy to jump on that. What's your thoughts?
Listen, I do think that, that when you look at this Arsenal team and this Arsenal squad, it was a band of brothers, all in it together, all close, all very well getting on and everything like that. And you've just took one of them away, which happens in football. People go, "Oh, it's football that happens." You get that. You have it when you're younger in the youth teams and whatever, But when you're bringing in someone that is not improving the team and in fact, we are worse off with Raya in goal as a team and everything. That's not Raya's fault. I keep going into that, but it's a fact now, and you've lost that little bit of dynamic.
With Havertz in the team as well instead of Xhaka. That's a fact.
Yeah. I think Xhaka, don't get me wrong, was a massive influence in the dressing room as well, And there is a saying, Dan, and I'll say it again. You know what I mean? You win a game sometimes, and I've played in games and you think well, how have we won that? And that's with the dressing room spirit got us through that game. Do you know what I mean? We've got a terrific team spirit. Team spirit got us through that game. I think that the team spirit has been damaged. It's been knocked, and it can be repaired. And it's up to Mikel if he wants to do that. But in hindsight and everything that he's done, it's a absolute massive mistake that he's done that, because if Raya had come in and just blew everybody, say if Raya come in and produced what Rice was producing, sort of that sort of standard, no one would be questioning.
Alisson and Edison, you know what I mean?
Someone like that,
right away. I get that, and for me, he had to upgrade Aaron Ramsdale with someone of that quality. He had to, you had to be looking at him going, "Core, feel sorry for Ramsdale, but Jesus, he ain't getting back in here. Look at this keeper, he is mustard." Yeah, we ain't done that, have we? Do you know what I mean? And when Leno got injured and he went down, everyone went, "Oh no, you're joking." Emi Martinez come in and we thought, "Oh, he looks better." Jesus Christ. And that ain't happening with Raya, in my opinion anyway. A lot of people are saying he's better. Still, he's much better when he was at Brentford. His kicking's better. Kenny the other night, fair play to him. He prefers Raya to Ramsdale. I'm not having that as he's talking nonsense, Kenny. I'm just saying that for me, there hasn't been a huge upgrade, Lee. And I think
no. And listen, when he's playing Arsenal, I don't care if he played well at Brentford. It's what he does now. I don't care what, people turn around and go well, Vieira was brilliant when he was in Portugal. I don't care. It's what he does at Arsenal now. It's what they do at Arsenal. I don't care what Kai Havertz was like at Chelsea. It's what he does at Arsenal. And it's the same with Raya. He needed, I look back at last season and I think of some of the unbelievable things that Ramsdale done. Yes, he made a few mistakes down the line. We're not saying he's perfect, and no one's saying that he is. But if you was to drop him, it had to be a massive upgrade on what you had. It's not. You've actually dropped it for arguably worse, or it's the same. Why? So why drop someone that's the same? And then that's what you're going to get with players feeling a little bit worried, because they've been looking at, if I was playing for Arsenal, I'm Martinelli and all that, I'm thinking, blimey, you could drop me for somebody next week. You know what I mean? Jack, maybe, Dan, that the reason that these players are panicking because January's coming along, they might be feeling they could be outed. I don't know by that, because if you can do that to Ramsdale, you can do that to anybody. You can do that to anybody. So there is worry and uncertainty. Maybe, I don't know. Listen, I say it now. I don't want Arteta. So I don't want him sacked. I at this moment in time, what I would say about it is, I'm really desperate for him now to prove everybody wrong. I'd love him to prove everybody wrong. What I'm saying though is, and this is where the difference when people go, you're worried about, you're saying that you want Arteta out and whatever, or Ramsdale. Well, it's nothing to do with that, what I'm saying is that he can come under pressure, Dan. You can question some of his decisions without being out. And I will question him to it there. Nick says there, Ramsdale was crap when he played against Southampton. Yes, he had a bad game, Nick. Not saying that he didn't. But what about against Aston Villa, against Spurs? What about when we was playing really, really well at the beginning of that season? I get that he had a poor game that day. And this is the thing, what I say about this. Let's go back to the Southampton game. Let's go back to the West Ham game when Saka missed a penalty, right? Yeah. When the game against Liverpool, when it was in and around that basics of it all, things like that, other players would play bad and let us down let us down at that time, and you have to, that's what I'm saying. Listen, Mikel, and I've got to emphasise this, and Mikel's got every right to drop and leave out whoever he wants. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if he feels that Ramsdale is not his goalkeeper, that's fine. But when you bring somebody in, they have to justify that decision, and that's not what's happened. And people going about, he was brilliant at Brentford last year. Why didn't he get Premier League goalkeeper of the year last season then, Ramsdale? Can someone tell me that? Why didn't he get it? If he was the best goalkeeper, because I'm pretty sure Ramsdale got it last year,
Yeah.
So
he's been disrespected a lot by neutral fans, Ramsdale. A lot of my channels, they're
disrespected by a lot of
oh yeah, listen, you're absolutely right there as well. But even last season, I was meaning the neutral fans. He's not even that great. He's having a good season. I can't believe that Ramsdale's having a good season. He's terrible, and all this madness. Listen, this is the next super chat from Chaitanya. It says, "Happy New Year, lads. Arteta has reached his coaching ceiling. Only quality players can improve this squad. We must go hard in January if we want the challenge." Now, before we come to the players that we are linked with, Lee, I'm going to let you give this little announcement, because we have got another prize.
Oh, yes. And what a prize it is as well, you know what I mean? At the end of the day. I think at this moment in time, Declan Rice has been our best player this season, also has never been voted Player of the Month. I don't think in any of Arsenal's Player of the Month things, and didn't get it again this month, But listen, it's a truly remarkable prize for no Arsenal fan to miss, for just £3.95, you can win a one-of-a-kind piece of Arsenal memorabilia, a signed and framed Arsenal 2023-24 home shirt from Declan Rice, the one and only number 41 Declan Rice. Now, I don't know how to say this word, but I'm going to say it. I might get a bit of a laugh on this. Bespoke frame comes equipped with fully customized infill LED lights and custom poster backdrop created and dedicated by the prize. Obviously, the prize, the boys at the prizes that do it. I don't know how they designed it, but good luck to them and all that. But this competition also features 14. This is an unbelievable thing as well, Dan. This competition also features 14 instant win prizes, including memorabilia from Jorginho, Lee Dixon, Tony Adams, Steve Bold, and Nigel Winterburn. You know what I mean? So. Listen, it's a great prize. They do this every week. It's not just Arsenal stuff, by the way. We're just asked to promote the Arsenal stuff, but there's all the teams around do it are involved in it, and so you can get dare I say it, Spurs stuff, dare I say it, Manchester United stuff, anything that you want, like, you know what I mean. So it's a magnificent for £2.95 as well, £3.95. You get that as well, which is incredible, really. Like,
Absolutely.
To get it, and there's a chance there, like, and the guys at Football Prizes, they've designed it. And as I said, like, with that frame that I'm not going to say again, like, you know what I mean.
Bespoke frame. There you go.
Is that what it is, right? That way. So there you go. So listen, get yourself over to Football Prizes and get yourself on that. It's definitely worth a shout. And listen, if I was to have someone sign shirt, I think it would have to be Declan Rice.
Yeah, listen, absolutely. Make sure you do that, people. Go over to Football Prizes and get yourself in with a chance to win it. Listen, Lee, we are linked with some players. Of course, Ivan Toney is being mentioned every single day by Arsenal fans, but at the moment, he's not the one that is being heavily linked with Arsenal. There are some saying that we are after him, but we're not willing to pay what Brentford want. I saw something yesterday that suggested that Chelsea were interested in him and they are willing to pay Brentford money and Ivan Toney wages, but apparently Ivan Toney will only want to move to Arsenal. And
I've heard that before.
I've heard that before. I heard that from that lad. Who's that lad? Mudrick?
Oh, yeah. I think I heard that. Like, I only wanted Arsenal, and there he
I
is
have
in
heard
the
that
Chelsea
before.
number 10 shirt. I've heard it before.
Well, listen, let's talk quickly about strikers, because obviously me and you want one. We both probably, if we're being truth to be told, we don't believe we are going to get one, but I think it's clear we need one still. When I look at it, Judge, I think we've got Ivan Toney as a possibility. You mentioned before we come on live, Vlahovic being mentioned, and a few in the chat have mentioned that, and £50 million being touted around, Juventus needing some money, blah, blah, blah. When you look at that position, do you think that is a position now that you look at and think it's a different type of striker needed? And what I mean by that is, when we used to have Olivier Giroud, it was a different dimension striker. Vlahovic would be like that, in that mould. Ivan Toney is an all-round striker for me that can do a little bit of everything. And the other player being mentioned is a younger player at 23 years old, Boniface, who's at Bayern Leverkusen, 10 goals in 16 games, very highly rated. Where are you at with the striker position, Lee?
Again, you need to mention that, like, the last one there you're talking about, like, he's at Bayern Lucas at the top of the league. Dan, why I just don't see that happening. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't. Ivan Toney, I'm going to go on to when you talk about Ivan Toney, yeah, mate, but Brentford would be mad to sell him at the moment. Mad. They've got no strikers. You know what I mean? Like, the only way that I can see that happening, and even with the one in Germany, is if we sell him Eddie or loan out Eddie or someone like that, or do some sort of deal, maybe, like, I know Smith-Rowe's played out in Germany. I don't know. But why on God's earth would you sell that player, like, you know what I mean? And if you do sell him, you ain't going to sell him on the cheap, Dan. You know what I mean? You're top of the league, going for, I think, is it Toney or Tan or someone? Sorry if I've spelt that wrong or said that wrong. They can win the treble. Why would you ever think about doing that now? Like, I look at the Vlahovic one with a little bit more sense, because Juventus are in a little bit of financial difficulties. That's the only reason that I would go down that route there. But as quick, as saying there, why would Juventus sell Vlahovic when they are, on the title chase? Which I don't know where Juventus are. I know they've got some points docked, didn't they? I don't know if they got them back. Did they get them back? I don't know. But but they're in financial, not meltdown, but that's the only reason that I can see it happening, Dan, is if Juventus are second now. Well, bloody hell, they've jumped up a bit, like, so again, Juventus having a good season, so I'd take that on board. The only reason that I would say that is because of their financial problems. Who was like Everton had it, to sell a couple of players, didn't they? Well, realistically, Everton didn't want to sell those players, but they did, because for the financial fit. Now, if that comes in with Juventus, they might have to sell before they get docked more points. I don't know, but that is the only way that I'm looking into that. But as quite rightly say, if Juventus have not got any financial problems, I'll go down the line. Why would they want to sell? That's how I feel about it.
Listen, I'm with you, and it's going to be difficult in January because everyone feels quite settled. A lot of people are cup tied, particularly in Europe as well. People talk about that. But I do think that the one that is easiest to get is Ivan Toney. Now, I say easy to get. I have no idea how much money Arsenal have got, right? I have absolutely no idea. But if they're wanting 100 million, we ain't going to get that because I don't feel we'll play 100 million for a 28-year-old or 27-year-old striker that is at an 8-month ban that hasn't cut the mustard at Arsenal yet, but I think would be a very good signing. However, what we could do is we've got 50 or 60 is to chuck that out and plus a player. And they might not want to take Eddie. They might not want Reece Nelson. They might not want Smith-Rowe. But at least try something like that. Because for me, that would be a good deal. If I said to you now, there's £60 million and Reece Nelson for Ivan Toney, every Arsenal fan, I'm sure, would say, we love you, Reece. Fair play to you. Hope you do well. But we need Ivan Toney more than we need Reece Nelson. And that, for me, is where we need to be at in that for now. You can talk about Vlahovic. You can talk about Boniface, you can talk about Osimhen if you want. All these guys that are from foreign leagues. But Ivan Toney is Premier League proven, and he did score 19 goals last year. Yeah, 6 of them were penalties. I don't really care, to be honest. It's not that they don't count. He had to, he put 6 in. That means that he scored 13 from open play. So for me, I think he'd be the guy, and that would excite me, Lee. That would be one that excited me in January.
Well, Osimhen, I think maybe I've just had a look at the league table. Obviously Juventus got their points back then. You know what I mean? Listen, no way Juventus are going to be selling players. They're 2 points off of the title chase with Inter. They're not going to do that. You know what I mean? They're 7 points clear of Milan in first, so they're looking like guaranteed top 4 this season. Maybe Napoli, because they're in 8th, would be chuck some money over it, but they've still got a chance of Champions League. I think you're right, Dan. Tony's the only one, and I think at the end of the day, maybe you could get a couple of players. I don't know if you could say like Reece Nelson, you could sell. But I don't know if Brentford would be interested in him, and to be honest, but they might be interested in Eddie if they're losing. If they're going to lose Toney, and it also, this one really depends also, Dan, on what Tony's saying. You know what I mean? If Tony's going back and saying, no, I want out, then it could happen. But it's the only one.
My honest opinion, I think he'll stay at Brentford until the summer.
I do. I think that it's realistic to be. And do you know what, Dan? I'm going to say it now. I think Arsenal will wait until the summer to make a move on a striker.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And that leads me nicely to midfield, because we are being linked with Zubimendi, and we have been linked with Zubimendi for about 18 months. Now, I'm not going to lie and say that I know a lot about him, but he does remind me his playing style. He might not be as good as this player I'm about to mention. His playing style reminds me of a Xabi Alonso type. He's in that kind of deep line playmaker from what I can work out. So he is more of a holding midfielder again. He's more of a Partey, Jorginho, El Neni type. He's not a Declan Rice or a box-to-box. So my question to you there, Lee, because we've been linked with today with Onana as well from Everton, who I quite like, actually. I think he's a good player. He's got a lot of presence, and probably would be more of a box-to-box, actually, than a holding midfielder. Where are you at with this position, man? Either of those players, do they interest you for one? But what one would you rather have? Would you rather have a box-to-box or one that sits and holds so Rice can do that job? Where are you at, bruv?
Either or. You know what I mean? Because I think that Declan Rice can do more in that role, if I'll be honest. But you've got to have this role where it's got to be somewhere there. As I mentioned yesterday, I'd go for the Wolves guy, Lavina in midfield. That's the one I'd go for, because I think he can do both.
Lamina, it's Lamina, I think.
Lamina. I would. I've been very, very impressed with him because he goes box to box, but he also can hold. But it's a different level when you're going up to Arsenal, but so was it with Declan Rice, and he's took it to duck to water. So I like Lana. Maybe that's a better option because Everton are financially not in a great place. So I would go there. Polina at Fulham is someone that I would look at.
I'd like him.
I would really look at that. But again, they're in the semi-finals of the League Cup, which are in January. If they get to the final, he's not going to want to come. If they get knocked, so if you're going to get him, it's going to be towards the end of the transfer window.
Yeah, a lot of money as well. He's going to be like 80 million, 90 million, something crazy.
Is that Lamina? Who said that? Lamina is 31, is he?
Yeah. Apparently he's 31. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. I thought he was younger than that. Like, you know,
Mario Lamina. Let me see. He's 30. He's 30 years old.
Well, yeah.
He's with Birmingham nationally. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, no. I didn't realise that. Like, so I think you got to bring in someone with a bit of experience. Like, you know, Paulinho would be maybe one to go. You know, I think it's doable because they was prepared to sell him last. So Fofana's another one at Monaco. I know you've mentioned him a few times.
That's the one I would want. Yeah,
Fofana. So you know, that would probably be something to do. But they're going to need somebody like, you know. Listen, I'm going to trust Mikel on this. I know that he's made a few mistakes in the transfer market, but by and large, he's done okay with the transfers. You know what I mean? So see what he does. But it's got to be it's got to be a massive upgrade on someone's party. Well, you know, that means one thing on that, he's got to stay fit. Then, you know what I mean? Because, you know, listen, I do think if Thomas Partey was in the side, I think we'd be a little bit different. I really do. But he's another one down. I don't think.
I think I'm giving up the party now. I think
I'm at that stage now. He's not going to come back. He's not going to come back before February because I'm pretty sure if he was fit and could only do 20 minutes, 30 minutes in games, just like he did against Manchester City, I'm pretty sure Chris Hughton would have used him.
I agree. I agree. And
there's something more, really. Something more.
Listen, if I was to pick my perfect window, I don't know how much money we got, but I'm going to say it anyway. Kieran Tierney back from loan because we need a fullback. I don't want to buy one, rather just use him. Diomande, the Sporting Lisbon right-sided centre-back, he looks really good. Either Fofana or Kefren Turam because they're box-to-box midfielders that I like to see. And then Declan Rice can be in the 6. And then Odegaard obviously in the 10 and Ivan Toney. That'd be, I mean, if I keep going, I could keep going with fullbacks. I could keep going with Pedro Neto. But if I'm looking at the spine of the team in 3 that I think we need, I think a midfielder in Fofana or Kefren Turam, Ivan Toney up top, and Diomande at right centre back. That's what I would like. And I think realistic ones as well, because there's other centre halves I could have, but I'm not sure that they're realistic. So that's what I'm looking at. I don't know how much that would cost. You're looking at another 100 you're probably looking at 120, 130 million, but I don't know if Arsenal got that. I know we've got 70 odd million from our Champions League. If we sold an Eddie, if we sold a Nelson, if we sold a Smith-Rowe, you might have to look at doing that if you want them 3 players in to get 3 out that could get you, you know, some decent money. And let's be real, Eddie and Nketiah, Reece Nelson and Smith-Rowe, if we were to sell all 3 of them, they're HLM boys, so they're going to give us the most money, right? Because that's what happens with the signings in it when you get your youngsters through them, so homegrown ones. So for me, it might be that we have to say goodbye and be ruthless to those lads and say, cheers, you got us in the Champions League, but we're going for a title now. Good luck in your career. But we're going to go and get players that we think can take us to that next level. And I think all 3 of those would be really good options, Lee. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens.
It's going to be interesting. But we do need to freshen it up. We do need
listen, I mean, that's absolutely. I am going to end on a disappointing note. I'll tell you why. Because there is 525 people in here. And we have literally got not even 100 likes, Lee. Now, I'm not even
shocking. Come on, it's the new year, guys. Come on.
The judge is going to start calling you Turkish in a minute. This is a disgrace. What's happening? Do you know what I mean? Let's make sure we smash the like, people. It's a thumbs up. You all know it does the channel a lot of good. We've got over 500 people in here. So let's try and get that to 200 likes, please, people. That would be amazing. And make sure you're liking and subscribing to the content because we're going to be here for quite a while. There we go. Look, it's shot up to over 100 already. You are
brilliant. Well done. And do yourself a favour. Jump over and watch the Ivory Squad because they're on today. I don't know why they're on at 5 o'clock night, but we've sort of gone on the same time as them. So do us a favour, jump over there and give them your support. I'm going to jump on over there and give them a bit of support as well. So so apologies for clashing with them, but we didn't realise that, you know what I mean?
No, I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. Listen, I must admit, I'm one of my favourites. And 2 of my favourite people. There we go. Make sure you go over to the Highbury Squad, go talk to Kevin Campbell and Sophie, and we'll see you next time. We're out of here, people. Up the Arsenal. Take it easy.